You've heard this one before. An open-source maintainer gets phished. A few packages get poisoned. Someone rolls it back within an hour. Annoying but contained. That's what everyone thought on September 8, 2025. 6 days later, a worm with a name stolen from Dune rewrote what a supply chain attack could do. Meet Josh Junon. Handle: Cheesash GitHub bio. Just a dude who writes code. He maintains about 20 NPM packages. Tiny utilities, things like debug, a logging library. Chalk, a library that lets your terminal print colored text. Most developers have never heard of them by name. Almost every developer has them installed. Combined, his packages get downloaded 2.6 billion times. Every week, he is not paid for this. It is a hobby. He reviews pull requests in the evenings. He fixes bugs on weekends. And somewhere in his life, he does real work, the kind that pays rent. On the morning of September 8, 2025, Josh got an email. Subject: Reset your two-factor authentication. From support@npm-js.help. That domain doesn't exist at npm. The real one is npm-js.com. 1 character off. $1 a year to register. The email looked normal. Josh had seen 20 of these over the years. He clicked. He entered his password on the page that opened. He entered the 6-digit code his phone showed him. What Josh didn't see, somewhere else, a program was typing that same password and code into the real NPM website. Faster than he could finish, a valid session cookie came back. The attackers owned his account. The first malicious versions of Chalk and Debug appeared on NPM within the hour, and for the next 40 minutes, every developer on Earth who ran npm install was pulling in code designed to steal their cryptocurrency wallets. Here's the question this video is going to ask you. If one maintainer clicking one email can put 2.6 billion weekly downloads at risk, what are we really building on? At 4:12 UTC, the first public warning hit Twitter. A developer in Amsterdam noticed his npm install had pulled in Chalk version 5.6.1 with code that didn't look like Chalk. By 4:30 UTC, security Twitter was in full alarm. Vercel posted an emergency advisory. Cloudflare engineers were on a war room bridge. GitHub started rolling back versions within about an hour of first detection. And Josh, the maintainer, came online and said, quote, "I got pwned. Phishing email, pretended to be NPM. It was a very convincing one." End quote. The community did what the community does. People rotated their tokens. Vercel and Cloudflare patched customer builds. Within 4 hours, most of the malicious packages were replaced with clean versions. The crypto wallet payload, 40 hard-coded wallet addresses across multiple blockchains, had been caught before it drained meaningful funds. It was a close call, and it felt like a one-time thing. 6 days later, the phone rang again. This time, nobody had clicked anything. September 14th, 2025. 5:58 and 50 seconds p.m. UTC. An obscure package called RxNT-authentication published a new version to NPM version 0.0. Almost nobody downloaded it. Almost nobody noticed. Inside that package was something new. The attackers had built on what they learned from the Josh Junon attack. This time, they weren't just stealing a token and injecting malicious code into packages they could reach. This time, the malware was going to do its own reaching. Here is what it did, step by step. When a developer installed an infected package, the malware ran a post-install script. That script downloaded TruffleHog, an open-source tool written by defenders to find leaked secrets. Then it turned TruffleHog on the victim's own machine. It scanned environment variables, home directory.npm-rc.enviles, sh keys, AWS credentials, GitHub tokens, Azure, Google Cloud. Then If it found a valid NPM token, which it almost always did, because the victim was a developer, it asked NPM a question. Show me every package this user maintains. And it infected every one of them. It downloaded the source. It injected a Webpack bundled payload called bundle.js. It incremented the version number. And it published the new poisoned version back to NPM. Then it created a new public GitHub repository, owned by the victim, named Shai-Hulud. And it committed the stolen secrets to it, your own account, turned into a public leak site. A sandworm from Dune. That's where the name came from. Researchers at ReversingLabs looked at the repo name. The malware created pulled out the Frank Herbert reference and gave the worm a name. Shai-Hulud, the giant worm that roams the desert of Arrakis, feasting on those who wander unprotected. The open-source ecosystem was the desert. Every maintainer was a grain of sand. The worm just had to keep eating. On the night of September 15th, a security researcher named Daniel dos Santos Pereira posted a warning. At CTRL/tinycolor, 2.2 million weekly downloads contained a bundle.js file that wasn't in the source on GitHub. Classic supply chain smell. Within an hour, ReversingLabs researchers realized something bigger. Tinycolor wasn't the only one. There were dozens. And they all contained the same bundle.js. By morning, the count was over 180 packages. By the day after, over 400. Eventually, over 500. And this time, the infected packages included ones from a security company called CrowdStrike, a company whose entire business is catching breaches. One of their developers had the worm on their machine. That developer's NPM account published tainted versions of their CrowdStrike packages. Other developers installed those packages. The worm spread to their machines. It asked those machines for their tokens. It spread to the packages those developers owned. For 48 hours, the fastest way to get wormed was to be a maintainer who ran npm install. On September 23rd, CISA, the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, issued an official alert. Not for a government breach, not for critical infrastructure, for a worm in an open-source JavaScript package registry. That is how big this had become. Let me tell you the part that keeps security engineers up at night. TruffleHog, the tool the worm used to find secrets on every victim's machine. TruffleHog is open-source software. It was built by defenders. It is used every single day by blue teams, the people whose job is to catch leaks before attackers do. It can detect over 800 different kinds of credentials. It is, objectively, a good tool. The worm just downloaded it from the internet and ran it. The authors of TruffleHog didn't do anything wrong. The authors of the worm didn't write a single line of credential detection code. They let the defenders do it for them. Then there's webhook.site. That's where the worm exfiltrated its stolen data. Webhook.site is a free, legitimate service. Developers use it to debug webhooks. You can go there right now and generate a URL that logs every HTTP request it receives. It costs nothing. The attackers didn't have to set up their own server. They just pointed the worm at a webhook.site URL and checked the dashboard and the persistence mechanism. When the worm infected your repo, it wrote a GitHub Actions workflow file. .github/workflows/Shai-Hulud-workflow.yml. That workflow runs on every future push. Every time you try to commit to your own repo, it grabs whatever secrets are available to the runner and sends them out. You could roll back the NPM version. You could rotate all your tokens, and if you didn't also check every repository, under every account touched by the worm, your next push would still leak. Shai-Hulud turned developers' own tools against them. The open source ecosystem's best weapons, Trufflehog, webhook.site, GitHub Actions all became vectors. Here is the part that doesn't get written about enough. It is easy to make this story about one man who clicked one email. It is easy to blame Josh Junon. He should have checked the domain. He should have used passkeys. He should have been more careful. Except Josh did almost everything right. He had two-factor authentication enabled. He was familiar with phishing. He reviewed pull requests diligently. He maintained packages used by billions of builds a year, for free, as a hobby. The thing that got Josh is not carelessness. It is that TOTP codes, those 6-digit numbers from your phone, can be phished in real time. You enter the code on a fake site. The fake site relays it to the real site in the half-second before it expires. You see your account go through. The attacker sees their hijack go through. The only defense that survives this is phishing-resistant authentication. Passkeys, WebAuthn, hardware keys. Things where the browser, not the human, validates the domain. In September 2025, that was available to NPM maintainers. It was not required. Most maintainers, including Josh, use TOTP. The real question isn't why Josh clicked. The real question is, why is the infrastructure that runs 90% of web development held together by hobbyists whose personal inboxes are the attack surface? DBig gets 400 million downloads a week. Josh got no paycheck for debug. He got GitHub stars. He got thank you notes. Occasionally, he got angry issues from developers who wanted a feature. We are paying our infrastructure in stars. 2 months later, on November 21st, 2025, it came back. Same genealogy. More aggressive spread. Researchers called it Shai-Hulud 2.0. Microsoft Security called it, quote, one of the fastest spreading NPM supply chain attacks ever observed. Netscope said the same thing. Datadog said the same thing. By early December, the worm had hit 25,000 GitHub repositories, 350 unique accounts compromised. The total compromised package count crossed 700. On December 9th, Microsoft published emergency guidance. On December 18th, the Register ran a headline. The worm is back, and it's hungrier. Shai-Hulud 2.0 was proof that the first attack wasn't a fluke. It was version 1. The attackers had learned what worked, iterated on it, and shipped it again. And they did not bother to change the name. They kept calling it Shai-Hulud. The same public GitHub repos. The same Trufflehog. The same webhook.site pattern. They didn't need a new vector. The old one still worked. What does that tell you? The one thing I keep coming back to is this. Every open source ecosystem has this same structure. Python's PyPI, Ruby's RubyGems, Rust's crates, PHP's packagist. They all depend on human maintainers with email addresses. They all accept packages that run post-install scripts with full file system access. They all let a developer's stolen token publish an update that reaches millions of machines in hours. Shai-Hulud proved the model works in JavaScript. It is a matter of time before the same attack arrives somewhere else. And here's the part I want to leave you with. The worm is named after a creature that feeds on those who wander the desert. The people who wander the desert are not careless. They are just doing what people do, crossing the desert. The worm is not a surprise. The desert is the shape of the world. The worm is what lives in it. If you are a developer, you are in the desert. If you use a framework, you are in the desert. The question is not whether you are strong enough to fight the worm. The question is whether we as a community are willing to build the infrastructure, phishing-resistant authentication by default, reproducible builds, verified provenance. That makes the desert less hostile. Because if we don't, a third worm is coming, and it will be faster than the second. In 24 hours, an unknown developer in Oregon will wake up to a notification. GitHub Actions just started charging her for the compute her free open-source library has been burning on Microsoft's servers. And she is not going to pay it. She is going to post a thread. She is going to go viral. And by the time the sun sets on Microsoft's Redmond campus, GitHub Actions will have reversed a pricing change that their own CFO personally approved in less than a day. That is the next story.